In progress. Okay. Good morning, everyone. I apologize for the tardiness here. We got to talking. I lost track of what time it was. And it's unlike me because I'm kind of a punctual sort of guy from my old engineering days. So welcome to everyone. Today, we're here for the Arkansas Section 529 Plan Review Committee meeting. It's Thursday, June 13th, 2024, 10 a.m. here at the Victory Building. So I would like to call the meeting to order and again, welcome each and every one of you. And my telephone is going on. Here's my daughter. Let's see. First order of business is the approval of the minutes from our March the 7th meeting. And does anyone have any corrections or additions or changes that they would want to provide to us? I think the minutes were provided to you via email. Seeing none or hearing none, I would entertain a motion for the approval of the minutes of the March the 7th meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, now we get into the business. I'd like to turn the meeting over to Fran Jansen to make her report.
Great, thank you. So just a few things to update the group on. In March, Chris, thanks to Dr. Warden, was invited to present the 529 to about 100 career and technical education professionals or coordinators that had gathered for a conference that he was putting on. So it was a good opportunity to kind of go ahead and talk to this group who turns around and talks to students about the 529 plan. In May, Chris and I presented to the HR director at a company in Magnolia called Southern Aluminum. You may recall we were in Magnolia for another reason, for the Arkansas Financial Education Commission. And one of the attendees was a director and said he really wanted to know more about the 529. So they're they manufacture meeting and event tables for hotels, schools, and businesses, about 350 employees. So we did a Zoom with the HR director, and we're in the process of kind of following back up with her. Her daughter was about to graduate from high school, so we kind of gave her a little bit of a breathing space. In May, we also did, and you will recall that we talked about this Second Presbyterian, the kindergarten graduation that we were sponsoring. And this was to encourage parents and grandparents to have kids that age that are transitioning from, having where the families are paying money every week, every month, whatever, to consider taking a little bit of that money and possibly opening a 529. So it was a great event. I think our folks from communications group are going to talk about it a little bit, but the hook for it was a contest that people could enter to win $529 to go into a 529. Now, unfortunately, we only had 8 entries. And I thought people were blowing smoke, but so many people, as they were lined up an hour and a half before, we kind of glommed onto them to talk about it. And so many of them said they actually already had 529 accounts. And at first I thought, okay, this is the old, I already have an account, but I truly think a lot of this audience did have an account. And so I think my opinion, and we can talk about this at another meeting, but I still think it's a good idea. I think it's a very specific, but very, oh yeah, kind of idea. But I just think maybe that particular audience wasn't our audience. And we really went into it more just to kind of get our feet wet and do it. It wasn't so much about generating hundreds of new accounts. It was just to kind of see how it went. So I think we'll still continue to have that as a as a target audience, because I think there's a lot of merit there, but we'll just have to reevaluate how we execute it. Then the last thing in May, both Chris and I attended a training symposium. It's an annual event where there were about 600 treasury and financial professionals that were in Pittsburgh, and we talked about 529 issues. We met with a lot of our counterparts and had presentations made to kind of get some updates on industry trends. And the last thing is that July 19th, the treasurer and the 529 office are sponsoring Travs Night. At the Arkansas Travelers, our little, what is it, not farm team, do we call it that?
Seed team, I think, it might be. a
Minor
farm
league,
team.
thank you.
Yeah.
I'm dating myself. So, but we'll basically kind of own the night. It's Friday night, July 19th. And with that will come tickets that we can offer to our employees and their children. And the treasurer's been invited to throw out the first pitch. So he is,
This is not good.
so he has graciously said, why don't we have the staff who have little kids or grandkids come out on the mound with him? So it will be a, ceremony, God knows what will happen, but it'll be a fun night. And we're getting a lot of radio and on their, networks. We'll have banners. We're gonna do giveaways for the little night lights that I think we've shown you all before. We're gonna give those away to like the first couple hundred people there, so.
I think we also discussed doing a cross social media promotion on there as well, leading up to the event.
Yes, and we have a meeting with Lance, the manager. I think that's tomorrow.
Yeah.
To discuss that, and then we'll get back to you guys from a social media standpoint if we can make it work. So, any questions? Okay.
Got it.
All right, yes, we'll move on. Yeah, we'll move on to that. Okay, do you want me to go ahead and do the checks and invoices? So, Mark, you and Ken have been sent the checks and invoices, and just wondered if you had any questions, and if not, we will entertain a motion to approve.
Other questions? Ken, do you have any questions? All right, I'll move approval.
Okay. And then the last thing, and then I promise I'm done.
Do we need a second?
Yeah, we need.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, we need.
Second.
There's only 3 of us, okay.
The new sign language of Zoom.
All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Thank you.
Aye.
Then the last thing is regarding we are obviously coming to the end of the fiscal year. And so what Chris and I are in the process of doing to work on the FY25 budget, we're putting some preliminary information together. And then we're going to meet, we're having a brainstorming group with our communications group folks. Just because there might be some new things we want to look at doing. And so we will present to you all at the next meeting for formal approval, the fiscal year 25 budget, even though that meeting might be in September, October. But we've instructed communications group between June 30th and that approval process, just to maintain business status quo, like we're like whatever is consistent with the 24 budget. So we're not approving anything off the rails or anything, so. Okay.
So,
I am officially done.
Are you done?
I'm done. I'm
We'll
done.
turn to the communication group. Ms. Dana.
Hello, thank you so much for having us here today on behalf of the communications group. We really appreciate you. You can either look, for those of you on the screen, you can see that. Those of you who have the handout, it might be easier to just follow along here. I'm Lisa Van Hook. I'm just thrilled to be here today. I am one of the principals and the shareholders of a company called the Communications Group, based here in Little Rock, Arkansas. I have 27 years of tenure and have the privilege of working with some of the most talented, creative, and communications professionals in the business. And I'm here today with Dana Rogers, who many of you are probably seeing for the first time. She is a vice president and senior art director, and she is the day-to-day person who manages the 529 marketing contract. And I will tell you, I cannot think of a more committed and dedicated and passionate person to be assigned to your account than Dana. Dana has more years than I have of experience with this, and for many years she has also managed another state program called Better Beginnings, which is now, it used to be in the Department of Human Services and now housed in the Department of Education and the Office of Early Childhood Education. So this lady knows her family state government outreach. So I'm really pleased to be here with her today. You're going to hear from her in just a moment. If you will look at the second slide, not a slide turner. What you will see there is just a quick little smattering of the state government agencies that we have many years of experience working with. We are a full service marketing and PR firm that was launched in 1987. So we have been in the state for 37 years. And we have been working with agencies such as Arkansas Department of Health, Human Services, I mentioned that earlier, Parks, Heritage and Tourism, the Department of Agriculture, which we currently work with, and the Arkansas Department of Education. On this slide, you'll see some of the 40+ programs that we have created for the state. That's just, again, a sort of a smattering education and outreach programs. And what you will find for us is that we've known about the 529 program for some time, but the opportunity to work with this team is really kind of a dream for us, because it's an alignment of our values as a company and the mission of our outreach and education practice, which is essentially, and that's a very special niche for us. We do that nationally, at the state level and locally. It is in keeping with our mission to improve the quality of life, place, and health for communities. So very important to us. So really, it's an honor and a privilege for us to be able to partner with you today on a program that really has the potential to save, and not save, but improve so many lives in the state of Arkansas. Okay, on the next slide, you will see we came on board in January as a marketing partner with this team to work with Brandon and Chris to provide these services for the Arkansas Brighter Future promotion. All right, next slide. And right out of the start gate, I will tell you what we have experienced with Fran and Chris and this team is a spirit of collaboration. We have been working together to conduct marketing planning, which we call impact planning. We did onboarding session, and then we had a half-day brainstorming collaborative session with the team to talk about messaging and strategy and tactics. Every good marketing program, as you all know, every good anything really starts with a set of objectives and clearly defined target audiences. And on this slide, you will see our 3 clearly defined objectives and our 3 primary audience, which is not to say that we will not reach other people in the state, but these are the 3 that we're focused on right now. And they're very strategically chosen to have the most impact. Then on the next slide, you will see that our research, our planning, our brainstorming, all this collaboration resulted in clear focus and direction for us, particularly on the messaging, which you can see here. We have 4 very clear messaging objectives, and you're going to see those demonstrated and see them in action in the creative materials in just a moment. And they're very translatable into what you will see in the creative materials, and the first one was just to demystify 529, make it approachable. The second was to break the myths, and help families understand that a 529 plan is just that, it's a plan. It's very achievable, and it's a plan. Should not be overwhelming, it's easy. And then thirdly, to create a sense of immediacy, which is, it's easy to start it today. There's no reason not to do this, it's easy. And then finally, to present it as the solution for saving for your child's future. And we have been busy. So I'm gonna turn it over to Dana, and she's gonna walk you through some of what we have been doing.
Yeah.
Just with this?
We can go for it. Yeah, you can scroll down or.
Okay.
Keyboard, you page down.
I can't speak without standing up for some reason. Alrighty, so, even before we look at this, I have to tell you, so, whenever there's a change in agency, there's gonna be a hole there. There's a month that, you don't have ads for, or you don't have social media for, which of course was the case with us. And so despite the fact that we officially started in January, we started in December to work with Fran and Chris to create social media so that January would not be dark, as they like to say. Fran and Chris provided us with tons of materials and samples, and then when we started creating those posts, then they straightened us out. So you can't say that, it can't be promissory, or that sounds like this, or we always say this. So we learned the language. In that first month, we were getting strict. And we had some good success. I will tell you also that the creative and materials that you're gonna see, the results that follow, all happened between January and May. We have another month on this fiscal year. So we are very excited. When. Am I allowed?
Yeah, you can minimize that.
Just
Fine,
press that
yeah.
one. Yep, and click on it.
There you go.
Not doing it.
Sometimes it doesn't match up correctly to the screen. There we
Okay,
go.
there we go. Got it in the wrong place. All right. Looking at social media. You're probably all aware there's paid social and there's organic social. Organic social is, quote, free. It's not exactly, it has to be created. And that's something that we have a digital team that has the expertise to create those, just as we did in December for January, and continue to do that. Paid social media is just that. You have to pay for it, but it's a much more precise targeting method. Having said that, in our overview, you can see the message, the 529 message has been out there over 2 million times, which is pretty impressive right there. But the really important part to me is, yes, 98 new accounts that we can accredit to social media, paid social media. We've sent more than 8,000 people to the website. We are getting 529 out there. We are working on the awareness that we talked about. The high point to me and the organic is we've made 110 new friends, 110 new followers. Because organic media, social media is about relationships and building trust. And it's working for us. Looking at our page, you see here, this is one of the posts that got the most attention and sent people to the website to enroll. Children with a 529 plan started before age 1 are 54% more likely to fund 2 years of college. Click.
Say that again.
Children with a 529 plan started before age 1 are 54% more likely to fund 2 years of college. We didn't make that up. Somebody smarter than us told us. Right over there. In our, public relations highlights for this year, Brandon's already mentioned, the graduation ceremony. I was there, let me tell you, that was wild. I think they really should have started at about 3:30 because the children were wild. Not the little children that were graduating, they were all herded together and knew what they were told. But the family's other children were tired, they were hungry, there was a line 50 feet long of cookies over there that they couldn't get to.
We were very close to those cookies. We were fine.
Brandon was guarding-
We just swatted the kids away.
Yeah. Brandon and Chris were guarding. Anyway, it was quite an evening, and we had a videographer there who did a lot of filming, which has, we call it B-roll. We hope to use it on this television appearance, but the producers decided they didn't need that. They were so excited about seeing Brand, they didn't show all the B-roll. But we've used it in social media, and it's an asset that we're collecting just as we do photography, posts, ads. It's a collection of assets to be used at future times. And we will be able to do that.
Brand, you look great against that background. Like you couldn't have picked better outfit.
I didn't, I didn't think that through. I look like I worked there.
Well, you look better than the hostess.
You know,
Let's just
flash.
say that. So this, we also facilitated this appearance on Arkansas Style, which is a daytime program, but it has a good following of over 1 million potential impressions. And I think it went really well. Our PR department's been doing other PR things. Those are just the most visual that we can come up with. So in the coming months, they will continue to engage media, look for opportunities to get 529 out there, and look for more unique audiences. Also, the PR team will be there to support the speakers, whoever that spokesperson is going to be, with training, talking points, whatever we need to make those events as smooth as possible. So, you know, if you were talking at the Travelers game, we could help you out there. One of the other services that we provide, that we have provided, is media planning. Now, has to do with print media, which also includes website banners that are on those media outlets' websites. Streaming television, which you're going to see in just a few minutes. Streaming television looks like regular commercials, but it's non-skippable, and there's a way to connect with that commercial, which you'll also see in a moment. It's a QR code, just like you see on a lot of other things. And then our programmable digital are display ads and search ads. Search ads being a sponsored ad on the internet. If you go to look for educational savings program, you're going to get to Arkansas Brighter Future. 529. Included in our media, we have 5 publications that we're using for this first half of the year, or last half of the year, if you will. We have placed print in 4 of these publications every month for the last 3 months. So we're going to get some response here. The At Home magazine, we have done primarily digital ads with, just because of the type of media that it is, the topic. These are more about people, who's doing what, and getting our family. So here is our print campaign. In keeping with the branding of 529, it's inclusive, it's not judgy, not pushy, but it appeals to families. Our focus is our child's future. Those families are planning before the baby even gets there to start saving for the education. Big dreams deserve a plan. This is, for me, it's kind of like a realization, oh my gosh, this little person is growing and they're getting smart and they're gonna have ideas. We better get ready to support them. And then what we call the grandparent dad. Our present is in her future for this particular one, but our presents are in their future. The parent, this ad talks about supporting that child's education throughout their lives, contributing to the 529 that already exists, or creating one on their own, one for the child. The call to action in these print ads: help make your child's future brilliant with an Arkansas Brighter Future 529 plan. It's our new parents. Big dreams for our parents of children who are not absolute little babies. Look into opening an Arkansas Brighter Future 529 plan. Their dreams deserve it. And our grandparents, talk to your kids about planning for your grandchild's future. We have copies of these print ads that you'll be able to look at afterward to get all the details. Excuse me.
I think we need to partner with Pampers and Huggies to have this stuff in every diaper package in every store in Walmart.
Yeah.
Good idea. We can do that. I think our PR department already recommended that. We just haven't gotten to it yet. We're just getting started. So, we're gonna, in just a moment, we're gonna talk about and show you the streaming television spots. They're 30-second spots, so we don't need any popcorn or anything. We also did a longer form video, it's a 60-second video that can be used in some social media circumstances, as well as to have something running, talking about 529 as people are at an event, conference, trade show, something of that nature. The streaming video follows the same things as we've established in the print media. Big dreams deserve a plan. Help their dreams become a reality. And here you'll see those QR codes I was talking about. A person can be watching television, hold up their phone, and scan that QR code to go to the website. Brighter Future Direct 529. These videos are created from what's called curated video, which is, and when you see them in action, you'll understand this. There are several different scenes that suggest the family life, children growing up, processes that we all go through as families. Don't know if that's all right, gotta look here later. I'm not getting along here. I might not be getting it.
You got it.
Yeah. Our focus is our child's future. Arkansas Brighter 529 plan for your child's brilliant future.
And you gotta try not to push down when you're.
Oh,
sharing
okay.
that.
This is an Apple user. So we got a Mac user right here. So everything is backwards on the
I
PC.
feel like I'm working with a rock.
Don't right click.
And then from our grandparents, you'll see messages about not only grandparents, but friends and family being able to contribute, to support their education and support their future. Now, Fresh is going to share with
You
us.
need to get that.
Yep. Let me grab that.
Thank you.
So, is it time to talk a few questions or? you got-
We're gonna show the spots real quick.
Okay.
In just a minute.
Which one did you, want to do first, Dana?
You can start with that one, it'd be fine, big dreams.
Just a second, I gotta share it so that
They can see it.
our attendees.
Dreams deserve a plan. We all have big dreams for our children. We know they'll have big dreams of their own. We have a plan. The Arkansas Brighter Future 529 Plan. Tax deferred education savings. Big dreams deserve a plan. The Arkansas Brighter Future 529 Plan. Help their dreams become a reality. Visit brighterfuturedirect529.com.
Focus is our child's future. Quality education is at the top of our priority list for our child. So we've got a plan. Arkansas Brighter Future 529 Plan, tax deferred education savings. Our focus is our child's future, and we're saving for it. The Arkansas Brighter Future 529 Plan for your child's brilliant future. Visit brighterfuturedirect529.com.
We'll do everything we can to support their future, starting with contributing to their 529 plan. Arkansas Brighter Future Education Savings Group, tax deferred, plus friends and family get tax benefits for contributing. It's one of the best gifts we can give them. Our present is in their future. The Arkansas Brighter Future 529 plan. Support their education, their future. Visit brighterfuturedirect529.com.
Want to just
Yeah.
click down to the next one? We are ready for questions.
I think you have some questions.
Way out here.
Okay.
So, what is the part of this that will say, I need to go to 529? There's no doubt that people want their children to be educated. They may or may not have saved any money. But what about those who have money that they've set aside but it's not in the 529? What do you tell them? Or what is the message we need to use to have them say, yeah, that's a better way to do this than what I've done?
So if I may, I think that at this point, we are really at the awareness stage of introducing to a bigger audience the whole concept of 529. I think that's a more precise message that's going to get those people to switch from, to share more of what is in this message. It talks about your savings growing tax deferred.
But it's like that long.
It is.
And that's what attracted me to it.
Mhm.
Be perfectly frank with you.
Yes, sir. It's a very emotional type of approach to get people thinking about their child's education, to look that far in the future. And as I said, to wake up and realize this child is going to start school next year and they're going to be graduating from high school before we know it. So
It's gonna be too late if they're not careful.
that is right. And the part of the messaging that we try to portray is that urgency, a sense of urgency that when you, after you saw it in that social post, you act now, act early, you're gonna have much better success.
So the first targeted group should be young marrieds with children.
New parents.
That's one of the target audiences.
I think what you're saying is maybe, and this is something we could have for discussion, is as we progress in our relationship with them, maybe look at a message that still has the emotional touchy-feely, but is a little bit more aggressive about the tax benefits and the financial benefits of the plan, because that will speak to a different audience as well.
I mean, a spot like in media, like in streaming television, you only got that 30 seconds. So, areas like that, it would be hard to start looping in some of
there.
those benefits.
Yeah.
Whereas like with print advertisements, that's where we're touching on
And
some of
social
those benefits.
as well.
Definitely on social.
Yeah, and one of the things we found in our research, which, admittedly was, it was mostly informal research, it wasn't formal, was that, because the 529 plan is a financial instrument, it tends to be intimidating, and people view it as a complex financial transaction over which they feel little control, little engagement, and little understanding. And so we sort of very intentionally, with this first wave of messaging, try to lower some of that intimidation and fear factor and turn it into actionable, easy, do it today, a sense of immediacy, just get it started. And then you can see how it works. So what we found was the more technical the message, the less likely the engagement. So it is a sort of intentionally a emotional appeal that makes it less fear-based and more actionable, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I found getting into it was the easiest part. Getting the money out was more complicated. And that was somewhat intimidating.
Right, and we've included some of that messaging in the print and a lot of it in the social media, which is there's so many myths that you can only use it in Arkansas, it can only be used for a 4-year degree. The list of myths is very long, so we sort of have chosen to address those one myth at a time, if you will.
So Commissioner Warden had a question right quick. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Dr. Warren?
Well, I'm really tracking with what Treasurer Walther said. I was thinking the exact same thing as I was looking at the ads, and the reason why is my social circle, we're all having grandbabies right now. And so when I talk to my friends about 529, some of the things, when I'm personally promoting it with my friends and family is like, and there's a group that, are pretty savvy. They are investing in their own retirements and looking for mechanisms and tools to save. And there are a lot of misnomers around the flexibility and the concern of flexibility in the 529 and being pigeonholed with that investment when there's better options. And I think particularly for those who haven't maximized like all of their Roth or other investment tools. So it may be a different audience that we target, all right? Because I think the appeal that we just saw is about an emotional appeal to somebody to get it kicked off. But when you have these other folks who are probably more apt to use the tool, I mean, we want these people coming from all demographics and all areas, but the people that are more apt to use these tools are either not getting good advice from their financial advisors, or they have misnomers in their own minds about this tool and, is it better than other tools available? So I do think that there is a space, maybe not with this kickoff, this first campaign, in a campaign in the future, to not make it as technical or about, some figuring out the message about it's feasible and it's as good as or better than other tools that are there. But I appreciate Larry bringing it up.
And I'm not
part of a marketing team. I actually asked my colleague Erica to be on the call today. But, you know, this seems like it's the top of the funnel, and
Yes,
as
very
this is
much.
getting them so they know a 529 exists and
Yeah.
they're ready to start if they have a financial advisor speaking to that person. It's also that demographic of people who doesn't have a financial advisor and chooses to go direct and, you know, doesn't have that more technical knowledge of finance. So I'll let Erica speak a little more to the funnel overall. But communications group, since we both started around the same time, has been a great partner in a lot of the moves they're making. You know, with the social media, paid social included, we're really happy to see for the plan. And, you know, from a census side, to make it so these close to 9,000 site visits become more account openings, and we can track better the number of account openings. You know, we're doing some things with our enrollment flow. And so I'll let Erica speak to the marketing side, but just so you know, we're also working on, once we get them there, you know, turning their one-time contribution into a returning contribution, or taking a look at those people who already are enrolled in the plan and haven't made a contribution in a while. So Erica, if you wouldn't mind speaking a little bit more to the marketing funnel and things that we're working on there.
Absolutely. And I've had a few issues with Zoom in the past for audio. So if you can just confirm that you can hear me and it's coming through clear. Fantastic. Love to hear it. Thank you. So good morning. My name is Erica Norton. I am the Director of Product Marketing here for Ascensus Government Savings. And just to echo what's being said in the room regarding the marketing funnel, yes, when we look at traditional advertising, when we're looking at items like commercials, this is really a top funnel initiative. This is focused on awareness. We know that the 529 buying process is not single touch. We know there are several touches that need to push any prospect for a 529 plan down the funnel to convert to account owner status. And so gaining that trust and awareness and setting that emotional tone is really that first step. And then Communications Group, since they've joined, has done a great job of looking at other initiatives that I would call more mid-funnel, including programmatic and remarketing, which are focused more in the digital space, where we can, you know, focus on a targeted demographic and really reach those residents of Arkansas who are parents or guardians of young children, drive them down to the paid search component, which is our lower funnel tactic that truly converts these prospects into account owner status. But, you know, in the meantime, we redesigned the website for Brighter Future 2 years ago as a part of the rebrand. And as a part of that initiative, we worked with our user experience team to design landing pages that really spoke to some of those barriers and misconceptions that our prospects are facing. They're afraid that they will not be able to access their money. They'll use it or lose it. They feel that they can only use it for traditional colleges and universities. And so the website is really a tool to drive prospects in an evergreen way to learn and gather information and give them a reason and compel them to open a 529 plan account. So I hope I did that justice.
Great, Erica. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, and just to touch on, and again, I know, you know, certainly there's a lot of topics to discuss in the meeting, but one of the things that we're doing here at Ascensus, leading into your point, Kim, is that once someone has made a decision based on all the great work that Communications Group is doing, we want to make sure that we take them through an enrollment flow where they can enroll for the product in an easy way. Ascensus has been in the 529 space for quite a while, and in that time, we've had a number of iterations of what we call our enrollment flow. And as we learn and grow, we realized that we really needed a tool that was cross-plan. We needed a universal solution that was going to work well on mobile devices, on desktop devices. It was going to meet people where they are and also focus on behaviors that we want to see. We've done a lot of research in working cross-plan with all of our 529 plan partners. We're able to look at what behaviors are most valuable and most successful to our savers. So we've got a great team of product folks here. We've got a great team of user experience folks, brought them all together, and we're in the process of designing and rolling out a new enrollment flow that will be used across all of our 529 plans. And just a couple of key highlights that I want to call out. Our old enrollment flow looked at contributions as an either or. So you could either set up a one-time contribution from a bank account, or you could set up recurring contributions. So we know that our most successful savers, based on historical data, are using a combination of recurring contributions and ad hoc contributions throughout the year. So the new flow, we are separating those two behaviors out and encouraging our account owners to set up both, or those who are enrolling to be a new account owner. And we also designed it in a way so that our three most common monthly enrollments, which are $50, $100, and $250, are pre-filled out. We want to simplify this decision for our account owners. And one of the other things we're doing is introducing uPromise as a part of the enrollment flow. This is not a tool that necessarily every account owner wants to take advantage of, but we're giving our account owners the opportunity to opt in to receive communication from uPromise, or decide that no, thank you, they do not want to take a part of that. And so, based on some of these early indicators, which is really based on the mobile app enrollment flow, we have seen an increase in adoption for recurring contributions, as well as people who want to get more information about uPromise. So we're seeing already great results. There are a number of other great ideas that the product and UX teams have put behind the way that they're rolling out the flow, but we're going to pay very close attention to where people are and aren't dropping off, and have the opportunity to make additional adjustments as needed, because at the end of the day, we want our savers to save more, save successfully, and to have a good experience with the product.
Awesome. Thank you, Erica.
Thank you.
I gotta, let me stop just a minute here. Lisa, are y'all through with your report? Okay, I just want to make sure.
I believe we are, unless you have any other questions.
I apologize for not giving you the time that you'll let you close or whatever it was. Okay. Kimberly, you got it.
Yes,
You're next.
great. And I have to say, I'm past this point in my life where I want to have a baby, but gosh, that baby makes me think about it. What a cutie. So I'm happy to say that, the Brighter Future plans are doing excellent. Some things that are highlights of this presentation is that, our year-to-date net inflows are positive, which is fantastic. We're seeing money going into young people's accounts. Those balances are increasing. So these are just real positives here. One thing, it looks like Johnny got you the new presentation, or Johnny's sharing, which I really appreciate. You'll notice in your packet that the direct assets show is lower. That's because those were the December assets. So as you can see, when you think of all contributions going into these accounts during the course of this year, we're up about $30 million. And even though April, it seems from our data, mostly from the markets, had a slight dip, we're back to seeing that increase as far as what the assets are in the account. And it's a nice progression if you look at March and May.
Numbers on the printed one are incorrect.
Just the top.
Okay.
Just if you look at the direct assets, we didn't change up the number, apologize. If you look at the contributions, and these are just, contributions to accounts, not including rollover, you'll see that we have 26.7 million year to date. And the withdrawals are 19 million. If you go to the next page. So, as I said, it's really great that we're seeing these increases in our net flows, so that, we're seeing that Arkansas is really starting to uptick as far as its overall assets. when you look at our funded account, you can see that that is a great looking curve too. The fact that we are seeing a month over month increase in our funded accounts. And honestly, if you were to put all 4 of these years in a straight line, I think you'd see overall the same, that same level of increase. So whether it's marketing, whether it's the boots on the ground, things that Fran and Chris are doing, we're seeing the ultimate result that we want to see, which is those increase in funded accounts. Typically, this is also skewing in the same direction. The Arkansas accounts are the majority of the account holders that you're seeing in the direct plan. The non-Arkansas residents, they're remaining pretty consistent. It actually seems as if, you know, you look back to the beginning of our data here in January 2023, the non-resident accounts are lowering, but the number of accounts in general are increasing. So hopefully, you know, things like that tax incentive that you guys provide is helping you to see that level of increase. And it's nice to see that more and more Arkansas residents are able to look into funding this sort of account. If you look at our average balance in the direct plan, that's at about 17,500. You know, still remaining pretty consistent. It's like it did get a little higher back in 2023, but there have been a little market downturn this year. Not seeing that same, this is a terrible way of saying it, but I kind of call it a Madoff curve where it's like everything's going in a straight line up. You know, we saw a little dip there here as well. Makes sense when you look at our other stats that April was just a little more of a difficult month in the markets. And as I said, you know, when you look at that 0 to 5 and you see that the average account balance is over $8,000 now, that's a pretty nice annual contribution that people are making to these accounts. And when you factor in, because it's 0 to 5, some of them are brand new. So, you know, this would be a pretty good amount to see for a 5-year-old, but when you factor in that it's 0 to 5, I think that's a pretty healthy average account balance. And of course, as kids are getting closer to college, we're seeing more and more there. So I think I'm happy to see that every quarter I've been here so far, and I mean, I won't take credit, but it's nice to be able to be here for it. You know, these accounts just keep growing both in number and in size. So I think that's the overall takeaway. So now with the Brighter Future Advisor Plan, was that in there, Chris?
Yeah, it's on the.
Brighter Future Advisor, they're seeing healthy asset balance as well, over 750 million in 17,000 accounts. Average account balance, as you would assume with an advisor plan, very healthy with $43,500. Which one? I thought so. Okay.
One more.
And then these are just, I don't know why. I was like, why did I not see that here? The page must have stuck on me. These are just our UGift and UPromise rewards amounts. These are since inception, but you know, UGift is providing some really good money to these plans. The direct plan sees more gifting, which I do wonder if that's something we might want to look into with communications group as far as gifting for that direct plan and how we can reach out to more people. But $14 million has been gifted to our accounts, close to $6 million in the advisor plans. The number of gifts given, 28,000, close to 28,500 different donations have been given as gifts to the direct plan and closer to 6,000 per advisor. And the average amount, you know, as one of the average balances, closer to 500 for direct, but closer to 1,000 for advisor. I almost wonder if parents with more means who go into these advisor plans don't ask as much. You know, don't put that sort of question out there to friends and family. And then as far as the UPromise rewards, close to $2.5 million has gone to direct plan account holders, and about 40,000 to advisor. So, you know, like I said, I do find it interesting. I wonder if we could do more for advisor to get these programs, to get interest in these programs, because probably when you look at the size of the gift, you know, it could really change our account balances if we could get more people interested, but, I'm just
So
throwing out some assumptions there.
do the advisors have any profit from, or is there any incentive for them to advise someone to participate in the 529 plan?
Yeah, so, either from a gifting perspective or just from a contribution perspective, they get paid the same way. So if money comes into the account and they're attached to the account as a financial advisor, they still.
So there's,
I'd also say as a financial advisor, the more sticky you can make a client, the better. So the more accounts you can have under your umbrella, and the more they're looking for you for guidance on that, the better off your relationship. Plus, 529 might bring you a new generation of clients.
yeah, so how do you get to them?
Yeah, there are a lot of financial advisors who actually, when they have a client who is either a grandparent or a parent and they know that they're expecting, when the child is born, they actually make a gift into the 529 account or open up a 529 account on behalf of the parent. So there are a lot of financial advisors who will give out, $50 or $100 just as a gift to their client when the child is born.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions? Amanda? You're on.
Hello, can you hear and see me?
Yes, we can do both.
Good morning.
Awesome. Good morning. How is everyone doing?
Good.
Good. And Chris, okay, you answered my question. You're willing to share for me, so I do appreciate it. Could you go to slide 4 to start off? So it's nice to see everyone again. I know we're a little tight on time, so I thought I'd get right into it. So as you can see, oh, sorry, I just saw a chat. So as you can see from this slide, so global equity markets, they continue to rally year to date following last year's momentum. The bond markets had a bit of a rocky start to the year as expectations around interest rate cuts have decreased. And as Kim had mentioned, we did see a slight downtick in the markets in April, in particular the equity markets. And that was really due to accelerated inflation readings that we got throughout the month and a strong US economy that led a lot of investors to believe that there wouldn't be any rate cuts for the year. The markets did have a little bit of a rebound in May, not shown here, which did push the US fixed income into the positive territory for the 1 year. And good news, both US and international equity continue to post those double-digit returns for the 1 year, again through May. As we discussed at the last meeting, and I'm sure John will touch on as well, a lot of what has really been driving the market performance is centered around the Fed. And this meeting is a bit timely because the Fed just met yesterday and they continue to keep rates at its current level. As the US economy has really not made the necessary progress towards the Fed's 2% inflation goal to allow for them to cut rates. We have seen some recent inflation news that has shown some progress, but it's really not enough to warrant a rate decrease. The Fed did mention that they do foresee potentially decreasing rates at some point in time in 2024. I think their current expectations is just 1 for the year, which is actually a decrease from their last meeting, which was at 3 for the year. So just a slightly different story overseas. So last week, the European Central Bank, they did vote to start decreasing rates, which was the first since 2019, although it was largely anticipated. So really what all this has done, and I'd like to just touch on a few updates to our 2024 outlook that I had covered at our last meeting. So Chris, would you mind jumping to slide 14?
Yep.
Thank you.
Where are you?
You got it. All right. So just the top left corner here. So just to touch briefly on GDP growth. When we met last March, we actually, as Vanguard, we had a recession here in the US as part of our base case. We no longer have that. So we've seen some, pretty strong growth numbers in the US here, and we continue, to see that. And then for unemployment rate, which is that top right chart there, at year end, we actually have decreased our unemployment rate from 4.5% to 4%. And that really helps to support, the no recession for the year for the US. And then lastly, just to touch on monetary policy, as I had mentioned before, all eyes have really been on the Fed. As of when we posted this, which was quarter end, we actually did not anticipate any rate decreases here in the US. We see that it's a fluid situation, so we continue to monitor. The last I heard, we still don't have that as part of our base case, but we are seeing some numbers come in that we could see that one decrease that the Fed is expecting to do. And then we do foresee 2 quarter-point rate cuts for the EU for the year. And then lastly, just wanted to touch on performance. And that's slide 18, Chris, if you don't mind jumping to it. Thank you. And really, what does this all mean for the Arkansas portfolios? Well, they've performed as you would expect. They are index funds. So based on all of my previous comments, the one thing I did want to point out here, we did see a larger differential than usual in the 1-year performance numbers for those portfolios with a higher international equity allocation. So on this page, particularly those longer dated target enrollment portfolios towards the top of the page. And really what that has to do with is the concept known as fair value pricing. So if you're not familiar with fair value pricing, it's the difference in the price of the underlying security as of its foreign market close versus the US market close. So as an index fund manager, we are required to price all funds as of 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The benchmark providers will price it as of the foreign market close. So if you think about it, if there's anything that happens in the market between when the foreign market closes and when the US market closes, you're going to see that difference until the next day when, the foreign market reopens. So we do see that from time to time. Just wanted to point that out in case there were any questions on that. And with that, I'm going to pause. I'd love to answer any questions anyone has. I don't want to steal too much of John's thunder as well, because I know we a lot of times are saying a lot of the similar things.
Anybody have any questions? Everybody happy with the results?
Yes,
Okay, right.
Thank you, Amanda.
Sound like you got some satisfied customers.
Sounds good. Thank you.
So I'll expand on what Amanda said in terms of market commentary. Obviously, I feel like I've been saying this for the past few years, it's a very headline-driven market, right? So everybody's hanging on the next piece of economic data that comes out from the federal government. As Amanda mentioned, Europe is a little bit ahead of the US. ECB cut rates last week. So they're the first kind of major central bank to get out there and say that, okay, inflation is maybe under control, so it's time to cut interest rates, make it a little bit easier for businesses that want to lend, make it easier for consumers, and start that rate decreasing cycle. The Fed's not quite there yet. The numbers have, as Amanda mentioned, in the earlier part of the spring, the numbers were just not looking that great in terms of indicating that inflation overall is slowing down. But what you've seen in the past 2 to 3 weeks are a lot of data points that have actually helped with that, which is why the market's rallied. It's kind of one of those things where you have negative news and the market actually goes up, and you have positive news and the market actually goes down from an overall economy perspective. But some of the data points that have come out in the past 10 days have been CPI, for example, which was a little bit lower than expected. CPI also includes the volatile energy prices as well. You've seen gasoline prices drop a bit in the past month, so that makes CPI drop further. Core CPI, which is the Fed favored metric, excludes those volatile prices, but core CPI also slowed down a little bit. And then just yesterday, you had the producer price index come in. Expectations were that there was going to be a 0.1% increase, and there was actually a decrease, right? So there are some encouraging signs that the economy maybe is slowing down a little bit. Some unemployment numbers have ticked up a little bit, but hiring is still pretty robust overall. As Amanda said, I think a lot of firms are moving away from those firms that had recession as a possible outlook for this year, are kind of moving away from that with every additional robust kind of economic indicator that comes out that's showing that overall the US economy is very strong, almost kind of defying the odds for economists for the past couple of years. And if inflation continues to slow, right, it's still on that 3 and change level, not quite at the point where the Fed wants, which is closer to a 2% annualized rate. It will set up the Fed to eventually decrease rates, right? But as Amanda also said, the number of rate cuts that were predicted at the start of the year, they've been going down with every single Fed, right? So it was 3 before, there was some divergence. People were predicting 1, people were predicting 2. The Fed is now saying maybe just 1, right? So I think everybody is looking to see that inflation is continuing to go down while not busting the economy and causing mass unemployment. Overall, kind of corporate earnings have been supportive of that narrative, which is that companies are still doing really, really well. They're still hiring, maybe a little bit more cautiously. I think what you've seen is maybe a little bit of weakness on the side of the consumer. So a lot of companies in their last round of corporate earnings we're talking about, especially those with lower income, they're really under pressure. They're having to make choices between, spending money on this or that. And it's become, a lot tighter for them overall. I think the wealthy are still doing fine, but we'll see how that, continued pressure overall on the lower half of the income spectrum flows through to the rest of the economy. There's still some persistent service sector inflation that's out there. So overall, again, the story as far as the US economy is concerned is really, really positive. In fact, it's driving economic growth for the whole entire world. We're hoping that the Fed, along with the other major central banks, will be able to sort of act in unison loosely to lower rates. It becomes a little more problematic if there is divergence across some of these major markets, because then you may have heard, talk of a carry trade or whatever, but you don't want interest rates to be really different between Japan, Germany, the US, the UK, Europe, whatever, because then it leads to weird kind of capital flows. So hopefully we don't get to that point, but overall the story as far as the US economy is concerned is that, it's been amazingly robust and resilient. So that's the kind of backdrop. And you see that in the markets, right? So the market price is just an expectation of future growth, right? So when people are feeling optimistic, the market continues to grow, and that's where we are today. If we can jump to, let's see, slide 9. So what's been happening as far as the plan is concerned, Tim said that, the plan continues to grow. We've had amazing kind of double-digit growth for the last number of years. The market's been a little choppy this year, but overall very supportive. The plan is about to hit 750 million. So we're really excited about the growth of the plan overall. It continues to be utilized by almost all of the major broker dealers in the country. You can flip to the next page. And as far as Arkansas is concerned, I remember before we launched the broker dealer share class and before the state passed the additional tax incentives for contributing to the state 529 plans, quite often we would hear that a lot of financial advisors didn't know that we had an advisor sold plan in the state. We're not really hearing that anymore because the growth of financial advisors utilizing the plan inside the state has been absolutely incredible. We have over 200 Edward Jones advisors utilizing the plan today is pretty amazing. So we continue to have growth in the assets. We have 81 million out of the 750. So over 10% of all the plan assets in the state of Arkansas is incredible, and that continues to grow. Just since the start of the year, that number has grown 5%, right? So it's actually ahead of the overall growth in assets of the plan. There's 62 firms that are using it, 469 financial advisors, which also every single year continues to grow. Same thing with accounts. The average account size in the state is a little bit under $20,000, but that's also up 4% this year. Overall, the $45,000 average account balance that Kim referenced earlier is pretty incredible because it's actually one of the highest account balances of any advisor sold plan in the country. So
Say that again.
yeah, so it's in the top three, which is pretty amazing. $45,000, it's a lot of money on average. So we're happy.
Thank you, John. John?
Yeah. Yeah, the report on the admin account, the admin account's having a good year. We're right at $50,000 over budget on the income side. We add about $35,000 a month to that, so we should end the year about $85,000 over budget. Expenses are right in line. We've got about $70,000 left in the marketing budget. I don't know if you plan on spending any this month, but there's $70,000 there. The overall income exceeded the expenses by $224,000, which is $146,000 over budget. We've got about $542,000 in the admin accounts. The largest one is at Southern Bank Corp. That's obviously above the $250,000 FDIC insurance limit. So what we did several years ago is we entered into an agreement with Southern Bank Corp where they pledge securities for anything over that $250,000 amount. And we get a report every month. Last month, I think it was about $500,000, mostly municipal bonds. So we review that monthly.
Well, when you say we're over budget, that's good.
On the income.
Yeah.
And we also
One of the
said,
few
he
places
also
where
said
that's
on the total, the way I understood it, but we have not exceeded our budgeted amount.
No, not on the expense side.
Or yeah, right, exactly. So we're doing quite well. It's a good report.
Yeah.
Good. Well, we're getting close to the end of the meeting. Again, we'll move to new business. Does anyone have any new business to bring before us today? Fran or Chris? All right.
In case anybody else has anything, I just wanted to go ahead and propose our next possible meeting date of Tuesday, October 1st. We typically like to, what are you laughing at?
My brain can't quite factor in October 1st in my schedule for that.
It will be here before you know it.
And Ken had to hop off, so
Yeah.
we'll definitely have to circle back.
And we've already confirmed that it's available.
Okay, we're good. Well, let's put that on our calendar. We'll
We'll
firm it
follow
up.
up with everybody.
Seeing no further business to come before this committee, we stand adjourned.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. See
Bye,
ya.
all.
Thank y'all.